And again, thank you for that wonderful talk. It was perfect. I think it's the great setup for the rest of the meeting. What we would love to move into, and I'll explain briefly what we're doing, and then we have some logistical instructions of how this will all happen. But we would love to move into what we're calling listening sessions as the next step of this meeting. And it's a little bit of a different setup than what we've done in previous years if you've participated in our workshops before. Diversity and inclusion was always a topic that we have discussed. And it's always been very, very important for Val to have this as one of the key pieces of this meeting. But often in previous workshops, we talked among ourselves and we commiserated about, well, I'm sending out my flyers and no one is applying. So we wanted to break that mold and actually do something else. We broadened who is invited to this meeting. And so I'm really glad that Val followed that instinct and invited honored guests from MSIs, from the NOAA programs to have a broader conversation. And we would love to now move into what we call, as I said, listening sessions with this idea that, frankly, we shut up and we listen and we hear from our invited guests how this all looks like, kind of what Vernon just did, from their perspective. And then starting to build these relationships that we all just mentioned in the questioning and the discussions here. How do I meet the right people? How do I make these authentic connections? And from my own perspective, when I first came to NCAR, I moved here from Guatemala. I had never lived in the US. In Guatemala, I worked with Native American communities, indigenous communities there. And I learned most of what I had to learn there by sitting for many, many hours and by listening. And then figuring out where I fit in the puzzle pieces and how I could be of any use. And so when I first moved here, I was not aware of the cultural, demographic issues of the United States. I'm not American. I was not brought up in the system. And I figured, okay, if I want to work at NCAR, if I want to work in Source, I have to learn what are the issues here. And I did the same thing. I basically sat and listened. And one of the people who was willing to talk to me was Warren Washington. And over all these years, I've been here for 15 years, he still picks up the phone and he says, you need to know this. We need to talk about this. Let's get together. I just heard something in Washington, D.C. you should really know about. And I've been blessed that I had mentors like that. And so that's what we're going to try. We're going to step away a little bit from the operational stresses of managing our RUs and all the logistics and all of the things that we'll talk about later today and tomorrow. But we'll take a little break. We'll just sit and we'll talk. So what we'll do, we have a lot of breakout groups and rooms, so we're moving out of this room. Yes, you get to move. You can pick up coffee and snacks that we have outside. And then our staff will help you to all these rooms because our building is a little bit of a maze. And you're welcome to pick any of these rooms. You will see we have facilitators who know what's about to happen. And then we have our honored guests highlighted here in bold letters. And if you're not familiar with the acronyms, so we have 2 breakout groups for historically black colleges. We have 2 breakout groups for Hispanic serving institutions, so HSIs. Then we have 1 group that will meet talking about tribal colleges and universities. 1 group will talk about community colleges. And then I'm offering, together with Laura Allen, to speak with anyone who's interested in supporting students who have accessibility issues. That is something we've worked here at NCAR quite a bit in the SOURCE program. And I'm happy to share my own experiences as being somebody with a disability in the geosciences. So I'm happy to be that person. So yeah, we would love, of course, to have a nice distribution across all of these topics. I know everybody now wants to go to Vernon's session to have more discussions. And that's okay. If you get everybody Vernon, that's fine. But ideally, we can split it up, maybe 50 people per group. I think that'd be lovely. And can you remind me timing-wise? So we're going now, and then we're meeting back when?
It's in the agenda.
And we're meeting for lunch at that
lunch
point,
will be
correct?
Right outside here.
So basically the thing after this is the lunch. So we're not coming back in here. You have a lot of time to connect and then hopefully continue the conversations into lunch. So thank you. Let's do this. So who is guiding which?